Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? Sam here, United People's TV, as always, with MUFC Daily. But today, a little bit different because we're going to be doing a live match review from last night. Manchester United in Champions League action, as we all know. 2-1 winners at Old Trafford against CSKA Moscow. Came from behind after a bit of a weird goal that CSKA Moscow scored. But Man United now top the group, 15 points from a possible 18. We're through to the knockout rounds, and more importantly, we're top of the group. If you watched the game, let me know who was your man of the match. What do you think are the talking points you'd like me to discuss? I'm going to run through what I think about the game, but I always want to hear what you think. As always, where are you watching this from? Let me know in the comments, both on YouTube and on Facebook, and we'll have a chat. But let's get straight into it. As I said, 2-1 winners last night. Man United were in total control, just like we have been in a lot of games, and we turned that control into goals, which sometimes we've been guilty of not doing. But Paul Pogba was fantastic last night, but the first person I've definitely got to talk about, we all know that, Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw played the full 90 minutes last night. Luke Shaw put in the sort of performance that gives Jose Mourinho the right sort of problems. Because now we've got Luke Shaw who can play at left back. He's shown him that he's capable of coming into the team and making a difference. I mean, his pace was electric. His overlapping runs were well timed. Luke Shaw showed all of his potential last night against CSKA Moscow. And I'm so happy for him, because this sort of game where you haven't played for a long, long time, you come back into the team and you're expected, I keep saying it's a bit of a pet hate of mine, how fringe players are expected to come back into the team and just play 10 out of 10 straight away. Now, Luke Shaw might not have been a 10 out of 10 last night, but he played the full 90 minutes. Yes, you could say he may have been in a better position for the goal that CSKA Moscow scored, and that certain things he could have improved on, but that was one hell of a good performance, a strong performance from Luke Shaw. And I really wanted him to have it, because had last night not gone Luke Shaw's way, and had Luke Shaw not played very well, I'm not sure how many more opportunities he would get. But now, Mourinho cannot ignore that performance. Mourinho cannot say that Shaw doesn't deserve another opportunity off the back of that. And maybe, I don't think we'll see Shaw against City at all the weekend, but maybe we could bring him off the bench if Young gets tired at left wing back. We've now got options at left back. We're not relying on 32-year-old Ashley Young to be our left back, a converted right winger. As good as he has been at left back, he's not our long-term future left back. For me, last night showed that Luke Shaw still has the fight in him to maybe do that at United. I genuinely thought that his United career was over. I thought that Luke Shaw, Jose Mourinho had shown on enough occasions that Luke Shaw is not in his plans, but last night, I feel Luke Shaw shoved himself back into Jose Mourinho's plans. Let's read a few of your comments out here. Shrijan Sharma on Facebook saying he showed what he's capable of. Absolutely. Papa Boateng says Shaw's got to be given more chances. Chris Johnson saying Shaw to start on Sunday. Type yes Shaw or no Shaw if you think that Shaw should start on Sunday. If I'm honest, 90 minutes against CSKA, first game back, I don't think he's going to be fit and ready enough to play in that City game, because our most important players in that game are going to be a left and right wing back, because of the style of play we need and because we've got to stop City attacking. Mark Berman saying, good morning to you too, Mark, saying good clinical performance last night. Highlight was definitely the performances of Luke Shaw and Martial together with Shaw. They can rip anybody apart. They can definitely form a partnership down the left. And I keep saying that about Anthony Martial, I have for some time now. His ability to influence a game is definitely limited by the fact that we don't have a proper overlapping left back. And once we've got someone in that team, it's going to create so much more space for Martial, because the defender now can't double up on Martial. They've got to watch for the overlapping run from the fullback. And I feel now Shaw showed that he can do that so much more than Ashley Young. Ashley Young's great receiving the ball, cutting inside and getting a cross in. Young, completely different type of left back, overlapping runs, got there in the end. And his crossing was a little bit off last night. Maybe he should have got an assist for Rashford after a wonderful run and pass by Paul Pogba. But I think we saw from Shaw last night exactly what we've all hoped was still in him. It's been a hell of a tough couple of years for Luke Shaw, but well done for you last night for playing so well. James Benison saying, saw him absolutely bully their players to win the ball back most times, just shoved them off the ball. Luke Shaw, he's a stocky lad. He always has been a stocky lad, and that's why people have accused him of being fat, but he's very much a Wayne Rooney type player. He's not going to be 100% match fit until he's playing matches week in, week out. Naturally stocky guy, he always looks like he's carrying chunk. But not necessarily, I don't think. That's my opinion anyway. But what do you think about Shaw against City on Sunday? Lots and lots of you are commenting. Thank you all for your comments. Golden Pickhead says yes for Luke Shaw. Hassan Al Jarrah saying yes and then play Ashley Young on the right wing. Interesting. But I would say on the majority of the comments, you want to see Ashley Young start left back over Luke Shaw simply because it's maybe a little bit too early. But what about Facebook? What are you all saying on Facebook? We've got Ryan Enoch watching from South Wales. Good morning to you, mate. Max and Lowe saying Young and Valencia for Man City. The Shaw can be a potential super sub. Now against Watford and against Arsenal, probably our two best players, or two of them anyway, Antonio Valencia and Ashley Young. Young got 2 goals against Watford. Valencia got 1 goal against Arsenal. But with this 3-5-2 we've used against City, we've used it against Watford away, Arsenal away, and now CSKA at home, 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, 2 central midfielders, and number 10 and 2 up front. It's working for United at the moment. It's allowing us to counter-attack properly because of those overlapping full-backs. And I'm just so fucking glad we saw that from Luke Shaw last night. But let's move on before we talk about Luke Shaw for the entire video. Marcus Rashford, he scored again. Romelu Lukaku, he scored again. Perfect time, just ahead of the Manchester derby. Fingers crossed that Lukaku, he's got that stigma above his head. Everyone accused him when he joined United of having a bad first touch. I think he's shown that his first touch is better than we all thought it was. But he hasn't been scoring in the big games so far. And no game so far this season has come bigger than this Manchester City game at home. Liverpool away for me is always the biggest game of the season, but in terms of how this season is going to pan out, it's United against City. It's United unbeaten in 40 games at home, a record that spans back now 51 years. So if we beat or don't lose against City on Sunday, we go 41 games unbeaten. It's a new record. For Man City, 14 wins on the bounce, I think they've got in the league. If they win, they get 15, which is a new record. So both Manchester teams have got a record on the verge of either being a record or just being an equaling record. And it's just an interesting dynamic going into the game. First against second, Guardiola against Mourinho, Lukaku against Aguero, no Pogba against De Bruyne. That's going to be a sucker punch. And we've got to talk about that last night because as Zach1699 is pointing out there, we are really going to miss Paul Pogba. 2 assists from Pogba against Arsenal, 1 assist last night. A beautiful left-footed, just a crafted pass. Lukaku, excellent finish as well. But how do we replace Paul Pogba against Manchester City? Genuinely, I don't know. Mata played wonderful last night against CSKA Moscow, but he's not strong enough to play in a proper midfield 3. Matic, Mourinho has said that he's injured, but he's definitely going to play against City, so he's not going to be 100% match fit. Matic will be concentrating so much on protecting our defence and basically being defensive midfielder. I don't think he's going to be able to have time or space to go forward with the ball because his passing range is actually better than you think it is. Herrera, I feel, is the player who's going to start. Scott McTominay coming off the bench yesterday again shows me that Jose Mourinho feels he's a potential backup to Nemanja Matic in that sort of big defensive midfield role. He played well. He got like 25 minutes under his belt. Tuanzebe came off the bench. He played centre-back. Love seeing Tuanzebe play at centre-back. I'm just thinking about the City game now. I really am. United played well last night to come back from 1-0 down. 2 very, very quick goals as well. That's what you want to see from United. We scored the equaliser, and as soon as they were on the back foot, we went down. Mata, lovely dink over to Rashford. He made no mistake. 2-1, and Manchester United won the game from that point onwards. But I am worried about City. You can't not be worried about City. Even if we've beaten Watford away, beaten Arsenal away, beaten CSKA at home, going into the game against City, so much is on the line. Some people are even saying that the season is over if Manchester City win. I personally do not think that is the case. But if we lose, it's a very tricky situation. Alex Angel on Facebook asking how long Pogba's ban is for. That's 3 games, so he's missed City and the next 2 games. A comment here from Rubal Singh, which is interesting to think about, and let me know whether you think Jose Mourinho will do this. Remember last season when Chelsea came to Old Trafford? Eden Hazard, Chelsea's most influential player, obviously. Ander Herrera man-marked him out of the game. Do we think that Ander Herrera could try and do a similar job against Kevin De Bruyne on Sunday? I would say yes, that is a potential option, but if that is the case, who plays in central midfield? Does that mean Ander Herrera plays as sort of the most aggressive of a front 3 and then he concentrates on just stopping Kevin De Bruyne, then we play two defensive midfielders. I don't know. I think you've got to play Lingard as number 10. Outstanding against Watford and Arsenal. We need him in that team. I don't know what the midfield setup is going to be. It's confusing me to hell because Pogba won't be there. Matic is injured, but he'll play. Herrera hasn't been in that good form this season. Fellaini's been injured, hasn't played that much. We're struggling in midfield. And midfield was where we lost the derby last year at Old Trafford. 2-0 down, 2-1 down at half-time, I think it was. Zlatan, I can't remember whether his goal was in the first half or second half. But when City had a midfield 3, we had a 2. We got overran. So we can't let that happen. But it's going to be tough to not let that happen without Paul Pogba in. Got Tennyson Scott saying, I'm too biased. Shaw is not better than Ashley Young and will not play in big games ahead of Young. At the moment, he won't. Ashley Young's in brilliant form and Shaw won't start ahead of him. But Mourinho can see that Shaw has that potential, and that's the most important thing. But I'm just happy that last night we turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 victory. It was a game where we did control a lot of it, but sometimes those games United have come unstuck. And now that we've got 3 wins, we scored 4 against Watford, 3 against Arsenal, 2 against CSKA Moscow. That's 9 goals in 3 games, a perfect way to go into the Manchester derby. How confident are you feeling? Who would you start in that midfield? I'm going to do a vote. Make sure you go over to the community tab. I'm going to ask you who you think should be replacing Paul Pogba in that midfield for Manchester United. It's a new thing on YouTube. Make sure you go to the, as I said, community tab. It's basically a private feed between me and you, asking you questions. And I also want to try and do a shout out as well, because I want to take United People's TV up a notch. And I want you guys, hopefully, to help and be involved. I want to try and bring a couple of comment moderators in, just so we can get the conversation flowing a lot more on the videos, on live and non-live videos. So if you are interested, I'll leave an email in the description here. There we go. There, right there. Ooh. So drop me an email if you're interested in becoming a comment moderator on United People's TV, and make sure you go over to the community tab. If you're on your iPhone, I think you can use it on the iPhone, not on the desktop. I'm going to ask you who you think should replace Paul Pogba in that starting 11 against City. Thank you all for joining in. If you're new, drop a like on the video. If you're on Facebook, just share the page, like the page, do whatever you can to help us grow. Until tomorrow, take it easy.